Hi, I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is I'm mostly healed by the Lord, Jesus. Everyone's prayers in the comments of the last video did actually help me. It's taking a long time, but I am becoming healed. And because of that, I want to take my time on some of my bigger projects. I don't want to rush them because I've been sick and not as able to work on them. So in the meantime, I want to make some shorter, more like timely and relevant videos. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to leave a comment. But today I actually have something very important I want to talk about. Miss Rachel is under attack. And I don't care what the lamestream media says, okay? I will defend Miss Rachel at any cost. Give me a blade. I will be Miss Rachel's knight. There's nothing in the rules that says a knight can't be a beautiful woman. If you don't have children or young siblings, or if you already know your ABCs, you probably don't know who Miss Rachel is. And that's because she's a very successful, very popular children's content creator on social media, primarily YouTube. Her content has garnered billions of views and a massive worldwide audience of children. And as you can tell from a quick look at her social media contentography, like filmography, but videography, I guess that's the word. Miss Rachel makes videos for very young children. Counting, ABCs, shapes and colors, that kind of stuff. It's very advanced. I don't understand it. Miss Rachel's content wouldn't exist without her expertise and passion for teaching young kids. She's like Mr. Rogers, but for even younger kids. She's like if Elmo was a real person. That would piss off Jordan Peterson. Burn in hell, Elmo. Teaching pronouns. My impressions are a little off, alright? I'm still sick. So, Miss Rachel makes videos for very young kids, and her content is well known and well loved the world around, including in Gaza. And once Miss Rachel found out what the kids in Gaza were going through, the kids that watched her videos, she became more and more outspoken about Israel's genocide. And Miss Rachel has actually spoken out before about violence that children have to endure in conflict zones and colonized nations around the world. So speaking out as often and as strongly as she has against Israel's genocide in Gaza, it shouldn't really be a surprise, and it's not even a departure from her regular conduct online. I really respect Miss Rachel's honesty. For someone who does make content for children, she's not afraid to speak up about very serious issues because, as anyone who actually cares about children knows, they're not immune from those things. Even back in 2023, she was still posting about how she's treated as a woman online, which is certainly not unique to her. Finishing my second master's in education while someone comments I've gained weight and should lose weight and try to be prettier if I'm going to have a show teaching toddlers. Yeah, my toddler's gonna be pissed if his teacher isn't fucking glammed up, dude. Her caption was, "Real comment I got. I have better qualifications to teach than being thin and pretty, and that's not where my value is." And this is just one example, but I think it's a good example of how Miss Rachel makes herself to be someone to look up to. She very effectively dissected and simultaneously vented about something that people probably have said to her more than just one time. But she never let the main lesson go to waste, that being thin and pretty does not inherently give you value, nor is it how other people's value is measured. I mean, that's a teacher right there. That's exactly the way someone should approach this kind of issue. I respect a lot that Miss Rachel is able to not only say the right things, but do the right things too. For example, around this time last year, she started fundraising on Cameo for children's relief funds around the world in places like Gaza, Sudan, the Congo, and Ukraine. And because she's so popular, she raised $50,000.
I am now on Cameo, and all the money raised on my end, fees, tips, it is all going to Save the Children's Emergency Fund for children in Gaza, Sudan, Democratic Republic of Congo, Ukraine. We opened it last night, and I took requests for 500 videos, and then we paused it so I can make those videos. And then I believe you can give them your email, so once I do those 500 and it reopens, you will be notified if you want to get one. It's called Messages for Littles to Help Littles. So the messages for these children help other children around the world. I also want to raise awareness about children's rights.
I don't know, how do you even criticize that? She's doing videos for little children so their parents can be raising money for other young children. It's the most wholesome thing in the world. And again, Miss Rachel doesn't forget to tie everything back to her fundamental advocacy, which is for children's rights.
Children have fundamental human rights: water, food, medical care, shelter, protection from violence, education. These rights are being violated and these violations need to stop.
Some would say children's rights is a dangerous, slippery slope that leads you to, Marxist concepts like international human rights. But it is true. Wherever human rights are going to be violated, children are almost always going to be caught in those populations, and by extension subjected to human rights abuses. Basically, what I'm saying is Miss Rachel is using a Trojan horse of children and their rights to shoehorn Marxism and communism and feminism, and I won't have any of it. Just a few days after Miss Rachel started her fundraiser on Cameo, she posted this video emotionally responding to the backlash that she had gotten for raising money for children.
The bullying is so bad. It's so bad. But I can handle this. Saying I don't care about all kids is like, it just hurts so bad. That is who I am. I love my neighbor. I love every child. Imagining for 1 second what a mom is going through, unable to feed her child, or give her child clean water, or keep her child safe. I can do this. I can do this.
Her caption says, "I care deeply for all children. Palestinian children, Israeli children, the children in the US, Muslim, Jewish, Christian children, all children in every country. Not one is excluded." I think part of why people respond to the show is they feel that care. I see every child as my own. I love every neighbor. Any child suffering is on my heart. To do a fundraiser for children who are currently starving, who have no food or water, who are being killed, is human. Like, Miss Rachel is clearly a passionate, empathetic, humanitarian person. I don't know really on what realistic grounds you would have to criticize her. And it's tragic that this is the way that someone so innocent is treated online.
I did see the distressing, horrific images online, and of course, certain ones just stick in your head and you just think about your own children. And so silence wasn't a choice for me.
Capitalism is antithetical to children's rights and human rights in general. If children have a right to education, well, who's going to pay for it? If they have a right to clean water, well, how are you going to clean that? Who's going to pay for it? Miss Rachel isn't talking about providing universal health care for children or universal education. She's just advocating to end the bombing and starvation of children that's happening right now. To say that she's anything other than reasonable is ludicrous to me. And her support of Palestinian children and her condemnation of Israel's genocide has made her the target of an actual smear campaign. But what she did next is exactly why I'm thankful for someone like Miss Rachel. As more criticism rolled in from the internet, she only doubled and tripled down on her support for the children in Gaza. To this day, she hasn't backed down. She's only ever gotten louder in response to people trying to silence her. And to be honest, I wouldn't expect this from a children's content creator. We are very lucky to have Miss Rachel, and I'll show you exactly why. This is one of the responses she posted to some of the backlash she got for her fundraiser last year.
This is a prayer for children in Gaza. This is a prayer for children in Israel. This is a prayer for all the children. Please stop hurting them.
I don't know if anybody else heard, but she's praying for all the children. Please stop hurting them. I do not know how you disagree with this. I don't know how you criticize this. I don't know what angle you come at this from or what you think it would accomplish. Is Miss Rachel supposed to turn around and be like, oh, you know what? Never mind, my bad. Actually, keep going, Israel. I'm cool with it now. Miss Rachel is a Christian, like a real one. She's not gonna lash out or attack the people, even if they are falsely, in bad faith, smearing her. She'll just use the attention, rightfully, to raise more awareness for children suffering around the world. I mean, she's an adult. She can't ignore the fact that Israel disproportionately targets children, that Gaza has the highest population density of child amputees in the world, and Israel recently bombed a hospital complex prosthetic storage warehouse. I don't understand how you're supposed to be an advocate for children and simultaneously stay silent about this. As Miss Rachel has posted more in an effort to raise awareness and to help the Palestinian people in Gaza, dish rags like the New York Post write slanderous articles on Miss Rachel citing Stop Anti-Semitism, a completely fucking fabricated fake organization. Stop Anti-Semitism is calling on Attorney General Pam Bondi to investigate investigate if Miss Rachel is being funded by a foreign party to push anti-Israel propaganda to skew public opinion. Since October 7th, Miss Rachel has transformed into an amplifier of Hamas propaganda, broadcasting to 20 million plus followers across her platforms. She's promoted a starving child from Gaza photo, which was actually a cystic fibrosis case. Oh my god, that first one is so fucked up. Hamas's false stat of 14,000 plus kids killed, 72% of deaths are combat-aged men. That is just a blatant lie. Weaponizing the stupid fake argument that because Hamas runs the health ministry in Gaza, Hamas is lying about all of the numbers. They're just making them up. And, you know, Israel never lies about anything. Fake cold deaths in Gaza, photos circulating at this time online were of frostbite, quote unquote, taken from Wikipedia while the temperatures were warm. Temperatures were warm at one point. That means that there can't be any cold at any point. Claims Israel's indiscriminately bombing kids despite Israel taking extensive measures to minimize civilian casualties by saying that they're doing that. Accusations of Israel blocking aid in the violation of the Geneva Convention despite 1.7 million tons delivered. That's also a blatant lie. What the fuck? Is someone funding Miss Rachel? From nursery rhymes to Hamas lines. So Stop Anti-Semitism is basically trying to get the Attorney General to investigate a children's YouTuber, like a baby YouTuber, a baby's YouTuber. They're trying to get her investigated for saying things that are true. This was back in December, but nonetheless, Miss Rachel continues to spew her propaganda about Gaza numbers. Yeah, Gaza numbers. Never once mentioning the babies kidnapped or murdered by Hamas. That's also a lie. She has mentioned the Bibas family, the hostage family, and I don't know, not to be the friend that's too woke or whatever, but I'm pretty sure calling someone Hamas or implying that they're funded by Hamas is more or less a threat, especially coming from an organized doxing outlet like Stop Anti-Semitism, just a harassment organization. But especially now more than ever, as Israel has openly admitted to targeting civilian members of Hamas's governing bodies, and by extension anyone associated with them, including their family and extended family. It's a war crime, and it's meant to collectively punish and disable Gaza's society and civilian infrastructure. And I don't know, it only tracks that those who defend these kinds of heinous war crimes would want to see at least a little bit of that violence come home, as long as it benefits them. It's a dark implication, but it's the reality of what we're talking about. The humanitarian situation in Gaza is a catastrophe. It's unspeakable. And that's all on top of the relentless, indiscriminate bombing campaign over the entirety of the last 18 months with what, maybe 4 weeks of not consistent bombing? If that, there's no world in which this wouldn't be urgent and dire and serious to anybody that cared about human rights, about children's rights, about human life and international law. And while anti-Semitism is a legitimate bigotry, it can't be used to defend genocide and smear people as innocent and kind as Miss Rachel, and conflating Zionism and Judaism in order to defend Israel only makes Jews less safe around the world. And it always has. How Miss Rachel has responded to the manufactured outrage and unfounded accusations of anti-Semitism and terrorist support, the way she has responded is genuinely admirable. As she was targeted and dogpiled by online commenters and fake news, literally, she courageously only became more driven and firm in her support for children in Gaza and all over the world. And part of her response was meeting with Rahaf, a 3-year-old Palestinian girl from Gaza who is now a double amputee. This video is incredibly sweet and speaks to Miss Rachel's compassion as an educator, but also as an advocate for children. And honestly, it's inspirational. And just yesterday, as of me recording this, Miss Rachel posted this: "Leaders, be so ashamed of your silence. Be so ashamed that you've seen the images and videos we've seen, and they haven't moved you to do the right thing. Be so ashamed that you normally speak out for children and human rights, but won't now because they are Palestinian. Be so ashamed that you don't see children like my friend Rahaf, like you see other children. Be so ashamed of your anti-Palestinian racism. Be so ashamed that your constituents are begging and pleading for you to speak out and you stay silent. Be so ashamed that you put money and power and your career before the lives of precious children of God. Be so ashamed that our religions tell us to give to the poor, feed the hungry, and open our arms to all children, and you pretend that they mean only for some children. Celebrities as well. If everyone says something, it won't be controversial anymore. It's never been wrong to say starving and bombing kids is wrong. And she's right. The courage that it takes for someone even as prominent and popular as Miss Rachel to voice her support for the children of Gaza who are being bombarded in a genocidal ethnic cleansing campaign in Gaza. That takes a fraction of the strength and a fraction of the courage that the Palestinian people have to exhibit just to exist. There is no excuse to say nothing about what's going on. It's inescapable. And if you're an American, your fucking tax dollars are paying for it. I think the way that Miss Rachel has been targeted online speaks to not only the ferocity of the dehumanization of Palestinian people, but also to the way permission structures are created to effectively stalk, slander, and harass anyone deemed fit, even for benign, compassionate beliefs. Online hate mobs, especially in this context, are more than just disgruntled, random barrages of commenters. They're increasingly becoming directed and motivated with explicit political agendas and intent on silencing dissent by any means necessary. Compassion should not be controversial. And because Miss Rachel is willing to acknowledge who is actually dropping the bombs and who is actually starving the population of Gaza, does not reduce her advocacy or her mission. To be honest, Miss Rachel has done nothing worthy of critique whatsoever, and certainly nothing to deserve the harassment she's gotten. First and foremost, she cares about kids, and the fact that she's willing to stand on her principles in the face of this much backlash should empower everyone who wants to do so to do the same. If Miss Rachel can do it, so can you. For as awful as the harassment Miss Rachel has gotten, I hope it can at least be a breaking point for some people. But all in all, it does give me a lot of relief that we even have someone like Miss Rachel, because now more than ever, the kids need her. Thank you for watching. I'm going to leave links in the description to donate to UNRWA and to the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. I'm going to be donating to both, and I encourage you to do the same. Sometimes things can look incredibly bleak in American politics and when trying to protest a genocide. But I want to personally thank Miss Rachel for giving me a little hope when I needed it. I'm going to be doing another charity fundraiser in June for the PCRF and perhaps queer-related charity for Pride Month. Stay tuned on that. I will definitely announce more in the future. Thank you again for watching. I appreciate it. Free Palestine. Bye.